It's my feel-good breakfast show.
I love that satisfied look on his face. Why? Because he's got what he needs. And that is some amazing news in the world of film. Why? Because it was the Oscars.
Yeah.
It's big.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, buddy, it feels like there's been quite a journey to get to these Oscars,
Yeah.
and it hasn't just been about the films, which is a good thing, surely.
The Oscars right now, it sort of like feels like breathing out during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. I absolutely, this is why everyone you interview absolutely loves you, dude. You can just capture it. I dig it. So capture the moment for us.
And
what were some of the big milestones?
What I want to capture really is the significance of, not just the significance of the win, but why the win is significant.
For sure.
I'll tell you what, I want to talk about sort of 3 small talking points first, and then we get into the best supporting actors and actresses.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
The first thing that is significant for me is good job to India for RRR, which... Have you watched it, Graham?
I have not. Okay, I might be one
Go
of
to Home Affairs, add three more R's to your name after you watch it. It's incredible. So Natu Natu, the song, won Best Original Song, which is kind of strange when you think about it, that like 30% of Bollywood movies is communicated in song and dance.
For sure.
And it's the first Indian song to win Best Original Song.
Wow.
It's a category that I've always been skeptical of. I feel like record labels probably buy it for their next artist or whatever. But Natu Natu deserved it. I want to learn the dance. Also, The Elephant Whisperers, which was documentary short, was an Indian production and the first Indian production to take home an Oscar. So congratulations to that country for those two.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm not forgetting the fact that you just, under your breath, said, I want to learn the dance. Okay, so we're going to remember that. We're going to remember
if I can do the pan thing, I can do the leg thing.
Absolutely love it.
And then next up is the significance of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Now, why that is significant is because this dude has been using a lot more colorful language than he did in the acceptance ceremony about what animation is. We treat it as a by the byways kind of thing.
Yeah.
Shrek was the reason the animation category started in 2001. That's because Oscars were popping that it would take Best Picture. So they put animation on a different shelf so that it gets judged. It's really unfair.
That's dirty, man.
So Guillermo del Toro,
dirty,
obviously he largely does live action, one for Shape of Water, you know, Pan's Labyrinth, etc., etc. First time he does animation, first time he gets an Oscar for animation. Good grief, that's a mighty congratulations to a guy who believes in an art form. And this specifically stop animation, you know, the one, ladies and gentlemen, where you move an arm of the character, you take a photo, move the finger, take a photo.
Which is a fine art.
Etc., etc.
It's a fine art.
First stop animation to win in that category. So congratulations to, hopefully there's, in an ascendant, a more nuanced form of animation rather than everything is just Pixar winning. And
well, there's a way you can tell a story with animation in this way that just doesn't, is just unmatched. Okay, let's get into...
And especially given the kind of time that gets sunk into making animation compared to live action. The third, final, like, tiny point that I want to make is that for the first time, Oscars, 16 out of 20 of the acting category was first-timer nominees. Which, again, a breath of fresh air. Look at some of these names.
It's not an honorary award for 5 films that you did 2 decades ago.
It's a shame. There's some people who have, like, you know, I'll speak about him a bit later, but, you know, there's a guy who got 50 nominations across his career. And the year, however, 16 first-timers. And every winner, in fact, was a first-timer. Let's talk about the winners, though.
Okay, let's get into the meat, my friend.
So, for Best Supporting Actress, we all know by now it went to Jamie Lee Curtis. And she's a first-timer. What I think happens here, however, and this is the reason why...
Explain it to us, please.
Angela Bassett was trending on Twitter and other social media. Now, both of them have legacy in Hollywood. Both of them have decades, probably over 4. Angela Bassett already has 1 nomination, so she has 2 now. And the problem being is that it's not a problem with Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a fantastic actress, but the role itself was really just apparatus to not even supporting.
Almost,
exactly. It wasn't necessarily an organic, lived kind of thing. Whereas Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever is Queen Ramonda, who has a diversity of different... In fact, even if you watch like the little clips that they use, they can only use snippets of Jamie Lee Curtis's character rather than whole scenes that are eaten over, chewed over, you know, kind of thing. So a lot of people feel like Angela Bassett was snubbed. I feel, however, that Jamie Lee Curtis, her character, was not the one for the role. In fact, for me, I would have chosen Hong Chow from The Whale, who was incredible. So, yeah, that's my take on that. There were plenty... In fact, what's great about these Oscars, however, is that I think every movie deserved to be there. Brilliant. But, speaking now, however, of another person who totally deserved it, and legacy, and having sunk years, decades, Best Supporting Actor went to Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Also, Jamie Lee Curtis was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I had a makeup artist earlier, Bernice Freyling, tell me, JP, stop crying, you're wearing makeup. Because I remembered the speech that this guy gave.
No, you're in good company, my friend.
Let's cry, Graham, and then we'll do the Natu Natu dance. So why the story is so sort of heartfelt for me, and everyone might have heard his speech by now, but he spoke about how his wife stood by him for 25 years. So it starts at age 12 in Indiana Jones as Short Round. He's able to sit on Harrison Ford's lap.
No time for love,
Barbaki.
Dr. Jones.
He should have had, having been, directed by, he's had Steven Spielberg behind him, he's had George Lucas, etc., and his career falls flat because all he can accept in Hollywood is degrading roles for people of color, degrading roles for Asian people.
Yeah.
And so he does these small jobs. You might even know some of this industry. He was working in like downtrodden clubs, backwater kind of things, organizing fights and stuff.
Yeah.
Lied to people that no, he's just not interested in acting anymore, so he's not doing it, but his heart was breaking inside. And his wife, Echo, tells him for 25 years, I've got your back, trust yourself. Your dream is going to come. And good grief, you see him on that night jumping into Harrison Ford's arms like a barbecue all over again, crying into each other's arms. It was beautiful.
I love it.
So Kwan, totally deserved.
I love it. In this crazy world that we live in right now, those are the memes that we want to see. That is the message that we want to see. More from the Oscars on the way.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beauties. Yes, he still looks fresh, not having slept for days, I would imagine, chewing on all of the gristle that is the Oscars. I almost want some more spice than there is, but we can focus on the milestones within the movie ecosystem, and it does matter. As you say, after COVID, this does feel like that breath.
Yeah.
So continue to breathe out, my friend. Can we get into a few more milestones that have made this momentous before we get into the next
breathing
award?
for a while as well, because if you think about how, these poor people, creative people behind camera, front of camera, they're panicking for 4 months for Oscar season. It just doesn't go away overnight. Yeah. Now the conversation continues, and especially about the social, the political, etc., etc. So real quick, I want to get into another demographic that maybe gets annoyed a bit of the geriatrics, the old guys, the stalwarts,
the seniors,
and who I was really impressed by. These are all Fabelmans people. By the way, the Fabelmans took home nothing. All only nominations. But this is why I was saying earlier, is like every choice at the Oscars seemed like it wasn't a bad choice. There was no Green Book, for example, which is a bad movie. Judd Hirsch is the guy who most people will recognize for Independence Day, Jeff Goldblum's dad. But what his little milestone is here, yes. The last nomination he had was 42 years ago. Where you been, guy? What took you so long?
The comeback kid.
So now is, if I understand this correctly, I think the oldest nominated actor, 88 years old. Nah, that can't be right. But anyway, look at the milestone there is the gap between the first and second nomination.
I'm here for that.
And by the way, actually stole the show in The Fabelmans. When you do watch that movie, you're going to be like, dude, Opa's got it going on. He's like such a force.
Dynamic.
Even at his age.
Beautiful.
Another collaborator on The Fabelmans then is John Williams. I don't need to tell you, John Williams is Star Wars, etc., the sound of our youth. And this is the gentleman who, like I said, over 50 nominations, 53 in his career. Good grief. And he becomes... it is him who is now the oldest nominee. Good grief, JP's brain.
Oldest nominee.
This is my old age creeping in. 91 years old and 53 nominations. That is insane.
And he hasn't won.
No, 5 times.
Okay, I was about to say, that's...
You worried. We're like, let's do something.
I'm saying, like, Leonardo DiCaprio barely survived that, that kind of spiel. I love that. And then Spielberg himself.
Spielberg, I like how it just says on your notes. It just says Spielberg. So this is an amazing thing that's happened here. Is the first person to be nominated in 6 decades. Across 6 decades. Every decade that has existed since Hollywood. Okay, which is not true, of course. But every decade of the past 6, he has been nominated. That's incredible. And obviously took away nothing for the Fabelmans. But now he is at least on par for directing nominations with Marty Scorsese.
Oh, nice.
Both 9. And I think it's in all... Jeez, this dude has had... 12 movies in Best Picture across history.
Wow.
So thankful for the contributions that this man has made. And The Fabelmans, by the way, is a super personal Spielberg story. He's most personal today.
Yeah, it's like semi-autobiographical in a way, but beautiful. I absolutely love it. And we all owe him a debt of gratitude because he's been a pillar of the film industry, I think, to be quite honest.
Our childhood from E.T.
I love that. Okay, let's get back into some of that meat. This one, I think, probably got the most resounding cheer, yes, on the night. Best Actress.
Best Actress was Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's the longest title to say, but a truly worthy movie to say because indies, tiny, small ones. Michelle Yeoh, why she is significant, and this is another trend that people might have seen going around on social media, is the words identifies as Asian, which is kind of strange. So when, you sort of do your homework on that, you find that there was a lady who was nominated, who was only technically the first Asian person to be nominated, but identified as white.
Yes.
And that is, again, indicative of the kind of fear that these actors have, is because she was not getting dignified work back in the 1930s. This is Merlin Barton, if I remember the name
she had to
correctly.
literally recode herself.
Exactly, and so technically, Michelle Yeoh is the first Asian nomination to win, and only the second woman of color to win lead actress. We got problems, Hollywood. All those things, however, are just barometers of the industry.
I know.
Everything everywhere is
Sorry, you know that I have to stop thinking after the Vienna fingers. That's just it. But we love it, and she is phenomenal, and her power, her strength as a kung fu practitioner.
Tiger. Yeah.
Come on, she should have gotten an Oscar a long time ago. Best leading actor.
Best leading actor. Yes, our man. Brendan Fraser is another. All of these, again, by the way, all these nominees, all these winners were first-time nominees. Man, like I told him when I interviewed him.
What a story.
Along with millions of other people, all of us, I think, cried when we saw him finally get the standing ovation. So what his story is and why this is so significant for people is that this is a man who was put out in the cold by Hollywood because he was basically blacklisted for speaking his truth, to use a term that's, very kind of cliche at this point. He was sexually assaulted by someone, actually a South African guy who was the director of the HFPA, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and then you get thrown on a blacklist. You get told you're a troublemaker, you don't get jobs again.
Too many, the fallout is just too big to deal with, so cheers.
Which is horse poo, basically.
Yeah.
And so after many, many years of being treated like horse poo, Brendan Fraser gets the notoriety he deserves. Darren Aronofsky, the director of The Whale, is the person who said he doesn't care about going through the casting process. He made this role for Brendan Fraser. He wanted this to be his phoenix ascending from the ashes process. Should I very, very quickly just say that Everything Everywhere All at Once took the most Oscars of the night. It was 7 of 11 nominations. It is a well worth it movie to go and watch, and a great promise of indie movies making a big, strong comeback. This is basically a movie that's a multiverse on a budget. All the superhero movies could not achieve what Everything Everywhere All at Once did. It is tactile, it is fun, it has a big heart, and it's well worth your time and definitely deserved the best picture.
Can I give you an honorary Oscar for some of the best coverage in your career, undoubtedly in the time that I've worked with you, buddy? No, you've done some amazing interviews this year.
I'm going to take an honorary tip after
Take an honorary nap, and we're going to continue to explore the joy of the Oscars because we are here for that.